Hey everybody, Eric Sabatini, mortgage agent, back with your Monday Mortgage Scoop. Today it's all about B lending, okay? So I wanted to define for you what B-side mortgages are. They are alternative mortgage solutions. They are designed for borrowers who might not meet the, I don't want to, say stringent criteria of traditional lenders like banks or credit unions, okay? Often these borrowers include self-employed individuals. We're finding a lot of newcomers to Canada or just individuals with unique financial situations, all right? So in contrast, A-side mortgages, these are your traditional mortgage lenders, TD, Scotiabank, CIBC. They use traditional and stringent mortgage rules to qualify clients for mortgages, all right? And I'm sure we're aware of this. But what a B-side isn't, it is not private lending. Some believe that not being able to get approved at a traditional lender like TD or Scotia means you're on the private side of lending, and this simply isn't true. Private lending can actually be categorized as its own separate side, C-side lending. Today, I'm interested in talking to you just about B-side lending. Yes, B-side mortgages typically come with higher interest rates compared to A-side mortgages. These higher interest rates, however, can often be offset by significant tax savings. Tax savings, herein lies the importance of this entire video. Getting home buyers, clients to understand that B-side mortgages, they're not a taboo or terrible mortgage product. Rather, they can actually be used to strategically save on income taxes over time. All right, so let me explain what I mean by this and who might utilize or find benefit with a B-side mortgage. Okay, A-side lenders, they rely on tax documents, T1 generals, T4s, T5s. Qualification depends on what net income is reported to the government, okay, especially over a 2-year history. As we know, the higher the net income, the higher our tax bracket, therefore the higher income taxes paid to the government each year. B-side lenders are different. They rely on business bank statements, business financials, and deposits minus reasonable expenses. So this is the big difference right here. Instead of taking one's gross income and subtracting all the expenses, as you would on the A side, B-side mortgage providers ask for gross income and they only deduct reasonable expenses for the industry of the individual. So oftentimes one's deposits to their bank accounts show higher income when annualized over a 12-month period because not all expenses are being considered by the B-side lender, okay? When one reports expenses on their tax returns, it reduces their net income, all right? It brings it lower and lower, thereby reducing one's ability to qualify for higher mortgage amounts. Some mortgage agents will say that you have to report higher net income if you ever want to qualify for a mortgage. This is false. Sometimes the only way to report higher income means not reporting one's expenses. Why should anyone, especially self-employed individuals, be forced to overlook legitimate business expenses just to bolster higher net income? What's more, higher income needs to be reported not just once, but multiple times over at least a 2-year history so that A lenders will consider it because they do a 2-year average to utilize one's specific net income. So B-side lending, it can be very strategic, all right? I work with a lot of self-employed clients. We don't concern ourselves with reporting higher and higher net income every single year. Most self-employed clients, they have lots of tax deductible expenses. So it doesn't make sense for them to overlook these expenses just to ensure that they're going to be able to qualify for some specific mortgage amount. What makes most sense is being open to a B-side mortgage. All right, B-side lenders, they call it a stated income program. Yes, rates are 0.5%, 1% higher than the A side, but the net income doesn't need to be increased. Therefore, income taxes owing to the CRA are often reduced. So in the end, the income tax saved often well outweighs the extra interest costs spent over time on a mortgage. So here's an example. Self-employed contractor that I've been working with, he works for an international company. He has several expenses over the year, travel expenses, and he also has to lease a variety of different office locations around the globe for travel. If I was to use his 2021-2022 tax returns, his net income qualifies him for about $400K. Using the B side and looking at his business bank statements minus reasonable expenses for his industry, he qualifies for approximately $550K, so $150,000 more. In order to qualify for that 550 on the A side, he would have had to ignore several tax deductible business expenses and report higher net income for 2021 and 2022. This would have cost him upwards of $30K extra in taxes paid to the CRA. However, being reasonable, we built the financing plan and he was open to a B-side mortgage. That mortgage was 1% higher mortgage rate than on the A side. So let's talk about his extra costs. $5K extra in interest on that mortgage for 1 year, $10K extra on that mortgage for 2 years. Plus there's closing costs that go into utilizing a B-side mortgage. So overall, that mortgage costs him $15,000 more than it would have cost him on the A side. But he's not required to inflate his net income at all. So by using the B side, it's actually saving him that $30K that he would have had to report to the CRA extra in income taxes. So when all is said and done, he's actually saving $15,000 by being open to the B side as opposed to inflating his net income and going to the A side. Everyone's situation is unique. I say this all the time. But one thing is for certain, declaring higher income by not deducting one's expenses will result in paying the tax man more and more and more each year. If a B-side mortgage makes actual and strategic sense, it can help self-employed individuals get into the market and to learn how to build wealth. And along with that building wealth over time, nobody says you're stuck on the B side forever. If getting on the A side is a possibility, it is something that can be built into one's financial plan over time. All right? The point is, getting a mortgage involves budgeting, financial analysis, and strategic planning. Okay? Everybody needs to dig into this fact and get educated on it. Just some food for thought.